The first time I saw her, the air seemed to bend around her. Not in a science fiction cliché way, not like some shimmering alien effect, but in the quiet, magnetic way that makes everyone in a room notice without knowing why. Her skin shimmered faintly in the dim light of the docking bay, a soft iridescent green that changed with every angle. Her eyes were the color of twilight storms, deep and electric. And she laughed. She laughed at me. Not in a friendly, curious way, but a sharp, almost contemptuous note. I was new to the Clarion Alliance's Human Liaison program, and the moment I opened my mouth to speak the formal greeting I had rehearsed dozens of times, she tilted her head and let out that laugh. "Your accent," she said, rolling the syllables of my name as if they were something sour on her tongue. "It grates." I froze. My years of studying interstellar diplomacy did not prepare me for alien mockery. I had read that Clarions valued intellect above all else, but apparently humor, at least when directed at newcomers, was a weapon they wielded effortlessly. I can assure you," I began, fumbling with my hollow pad, "that my communication protocols are fully compatible with your translation matrix." She laughed again, this time louder. The docking bay workers glanced at us nervously, shifting their feet. I could see the warships waiting in the hangar, the delicate hum of energy shields in the background, and the faint scent of ozone that always accompanied the Alliance's advanced tech. None of it mattered. All I could hear was her voice, ringing like a bell. "I think," she said, finally, leaning just slightly forward so I could see the small, intricate patterns etched along her shoulder plating. "You might be trying human, but trying is not the same as understanding." I was tempted to retort, to launch into some prepared speech about cultural sensitivity or the intricacies of interstellar relations, but something about her, the way her head tilted with casual superiority, made me pause. I had been trained to think, to plan, to execute missions flawlessly, but I had not been trained for moments like this, where the only way to survive a social battle was to somehow think faster than your opponent. Then, in the quiet of my mind, an idea sparked. I remembered the ancient Clarion dialects they had insisted human liaison study, not just the common tongue used for trade and negotiations, but the ceremonial language used in their high councils, full of tonal nuances and subtle inflections. It was supposed to be impossible to speak without years of immersion. I had never mastered it. I had only memorized a few phrases. But I had one advantage: instinct. I cleared my throat. "Shulkren benal joradh malak." Her laughter froze mid-note. For the first time, the mocking curl of her lips faltered. Her storm-colored eyes widened, just slightly, as though she had heard something she had not expected. A ripple passed through her, an almost imperceptible shift of surprise, curiosity, and perhaps something else, something far more human in its intensity. You speak it," she said, her voice trembling with a tone I had never thought possible from a being so composed. "How?" "I heard it," I said simply. And I remembered. The room, the docking bay, the waiting warships, all of it faded away. For a brief moment, there was only her, standing frozen in front of me, and me, aware that this single act, speaking a few words in her sacred tongue, had dismantled every assumption she had made about me. Her hands, gloved in the standard ceremonial armor, twitched slightly. She stepped closer, each movement cautious. No human not even a novice, has ever spoken that correctly. Not since the last war. I smiled faintly, despite the adrenaline coursing through me. Perhaps some humans are better listeners than others. The corner of her mouth twitched, an almost imperceptible smirk forming. "Better listeners," she repeated, as if testing the words on her tongue. "You dare speak so boldly, human?" "I dare speak truthfully," I said. And right now, the truth is that I wish to understand you. Not just your language, but everything. The Clarion diplomatic code forbade such declarations in front of non-allied personnel. They valued precision, hierarchy, and subtlety above all else. And yet, standing there, I felt that I had broken some invisible barrier, one that had kept her aloof, untouchable, distant. Interesting, she murmured, her eyes scanning me as if she were assessing whether this was arrogance or courage. Perhaps you are more than I thought. But one test does not a master make. I understand, I replied. Then allow me another chance to prove myself. She regarded me for a long moment, the hum of the docking bay and the soft vibrations of the nearby warships filling the silence between us. Then, almost imperceptibly, she nodded. Very well, she said. But be warned, human. Many have tried to impress the High Council through flattery or deceit. Few succeed. And none have succeeded by merely speaking words they did not comprehend fully. I'm prepared to learn, I said. Her laughter returned, but softer this time, warmer, tinged with amusement rather than contempt. Perhaps there is hope for you yet, she said. The next several hours were a whirlwind. She led me through the corridors of the Flagship Verelian Dawn, a sleek vessel bristling with weaponry and advanced tech. I noticed the way she moved, deliberate, graceful, lethal. Every step spoke of someone trained not just in combat, but in strategy, leadership, and survival. And yet, whenever our eyes met, there was a flicker of something else. Curiosity, and perhaps even respect. By the time we reached the command deck, I had learned enough Clarion to carry a basic conversation. She watched me closely as I repeated phrases, corrected my intonation, and adjusted my posture according to the ceremonial protocols. At first, she corrected me sharply, her tone clipped, but gradually, her correction softened, her patience increasing, almost imperceptibly. Finally, she paused, resting a hand lightly on the console beside me. You have talent, human, not merely in mimicry, but in comprehension. You feel the meaning behind the words. That is rare. I do not seek mere skill, I said. I seek understanding. Of you, of your people, of why this war, and how we might prevent it from claiming more lives. For a moment, the hard edges of her expression softened. I saw something that no military or diplomatic briefing had ever prepared me for. The faintest trace of vulnerability. You speak boldly, she said, almost to herself. And yet, your words resonate. You are different from the others. And in that moment, I realized that the barrier between us, the one built from centuries of misunderstanding, fear, and war, had begun to crumble. Not entirely, not permanently, but enough to glimpse what could exist beyond the pretense of enemies and allies. The conversation stretched long into the Clarion night cycle. We spoke of history, of culture, of battles fought and lost, of love, of loss, of hope. Every time I spoke in her tongue, I watched her eyes change, the stormy intensity giving way to something warmer, lighter, almost human in its fragility. And when I laughed, she laughed too, not at me this time, but with me, sharing a brief, fleeting moment of camaraderie in a galaxy that had almost no room for such things. By the end of the cycle, she had stopped wearing the mask of amusement. She stood beside me at the observation deck, looking out over the endless stars, the countless worlds scattered like shards of glass across the dark velvet of space. You are unlike any human I have met, she admitted softly. And yet you have shown me that understanding, even between species, is possible. I've only just begun, I said. She turned toward me, and for the first time, there was no mockery in her eyes. No testing, no challenge, no barrier. Just recognition, the faintest trace of a smile tugging at her lips. Perhaps then, you're the exception I did not expect. And in that moment, amidst the hum of the flagship, the distant glow of warships, and the infinite stretch of space beyond, I realized something profound. Connection was possible. Across cultures, across species, across entire galaxies. All it took was courage, patience, and the willingness to speak a few words in a way no one expected, and to truly listen in return. She had mocked me at first. She had challenged me. She had tested me in every conceivable way. But in the end, it was not my strength, nor my rank, nor my weapons that had earned her recognition. It was my words, spoken carefully, honestly, in the language she had long thought no human could ever master. And as she looked at me now, I understood that laughter, once a weapon of mockery, had become a bridge. Perhaps, I thought, the war could wait. Perhaps, in the vast reaches of space, between humans and aliens, between enemies and friends, there was room for understanding. And perhaps, just perhaps, there was room for something more.